26, 2025, and another Memorial Day, which unofficially starts the beginning of summer. But did you know that the first Memorial Day celebration was created by African Americans in 1865? I'm historian and national political commentator Michael Imhotep. Welcome to the African History Network show. On May 1st, 1865, freed African American slaves gathered in Charleston, South Carolina, to commemorate the death of Union soldiers and the end of the U.S. Civil War, which was 1861 to 1865. We know April 9th, 1865, you had General Robert E. Lee, who surrendered to at the Appomattox Courthouse to General Ulysses S. Grant. Now, according to two reports that Yale University history professor Dr. David Blight found in 1996, while researching a book he was writing on the U.S. Civil War, he said a curator at Harvard University's Houghton Library asked him if he wanted to look through two boxes of unsorted material from Union veterans. Dr. David Blight said, quote, there was a file labeled First Decoration Day. Now, the information that he found in this file led him to articles in the New York Tribune and the Charleston Courier about a crowd of 10,000 people, mostly freed African slaves, with some white missionaries present, who staged a parade around the racetrack. 3,000 black schoolchildren carried bouquets of flowers and sang John Brown's Body, the song John Brown's Body, in order of the abolitionist John Brown, who led the raid on Harper's Ferry in Virginia in 1859. Now, also members of the famed 54th Massachusetts Regiment, which was an all African-American Union regiment, were present. They attended, they performed double time marches. We saw the 54th Massachusetts Regiment portrayed in the movie Glory, starring Morgan Freeman and Denzel Washington. Also, African-American ministers were there and they recited verses from the Bible. During the final year of the U.S. Civil War in 1865, the Confederates had converted the Washington Racecourse and Jockey Racetrack into an outdoor prison. Union soldiers were kept in horrible conditions in the interior of the track. At least 257 Union soldiers died of exposure and disease and were hastily buried in a mass grave behind the grandstand. Some 28 African-American workmen went to the site, reburied the Union soldiers, and built a high fence around the cemetery. They whitewashed the fence and built an archway over an entrance on which they inscribed the words, Martyrs of the Racecourse, Martyrs of the Racecourse. 3 years after this, on May 5th, 1865, General John A. Logan, who was a leader of an organization for Northern Civil War veterans, called for a nationwide day of remembrance later that month. He called for this day to take place on May 30th, 1868, and he called for flowers to be strewn on the graves of fallen Union soldiers and Confederate soldiers as well. It was honoring those who died in the Civil War, okay, whether they were on the Union side or the Confederate side, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet, churchyard in the land. Now, the date of Decoration Day, as he called it, was chosen because it was not the anniversary of any particular battle. This was the first national commemoration of Decoration Day, which would later be called Memorial Day. And it was held in Arlington National Cemetery on May 30th, 1868, where both Union and Confederate soldiers are buried. Today, Memorial Day is an American holiday observed on the last Monday of May, honoring the men and women who died while serving in the U.S. military. Memorial Day 2025 falls on Monday, May 26. Originally known as Decoration Day, It originated in the years following the U.S. Civil War, but it became a federal holiday in 1971 after Congress in 1968 passed the Uniform Holiday Act, which made Memorial Day a federal holiday the last day of May, and it gave also a 3-day holiday to federal employees. And it's the unofficial beginning of summer. Now, isn't it very interesting that even though the origins of what we call Memorial Day goes back to African Americans and former slaves, during the Civil War and at the end of the Civil War, the history of African Americans, the Civil War, slavery, and the Civil Rights Movement are being attacked and being suppressed right now by state laws and by federal laws and executive orders at the very same time. Yet they want to take laws from the same period of time that they're trying to suppress the teaching of the history of and use it to attack African Americans in the present and the future. So tell me, what do you think? Like, share, comment on this video. I'm historian and national political commentator Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network. Follow me on Facebook and Fanbase at the African History Network, and on Instagram and YouTube at Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. Visit my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can also support the African History Network and support our research through Cash App at $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and on PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. We have the information right on the homepage of my website. You can register for my online history courses that I teach on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And watch me Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. when I provide historical and political analysis on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Remember, right now is correct your own behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda